If you're thinking about buying a property in France, you've probably got questions. What's the process? How long does it take? What are the costs? And most importantly, is it complicated? I'm Judith Whitlow, the Prestige Director at Beaux Immobilier, the exclusive associate for Savills for Southwest France and Provence. Our team has been guiding international buyers through French property purchases for over 15 years. Today, I'm going to walk you through the entire process, step by step. Whether you're buying a château, a vineyard, or a village house, the process is essentially the same. And the good news? It's actually quite straightforward once you understand it. From making an offer to getting the keys typically takes about 3 to 4 months. There are 2 main contracts that you'll sign. The Compromis de Vente, which is the preliminary agreement, and the Acte de Vente, which is the final deed. But let me take you through it stage by stage. Once you've found the property you want, you'll make an offer. At Beaux Immobilier, we typically start with a verbal offer, which allows us to open negotiations between you and the vendor. Now here's a tip. Be prepared to provide proof of funds when you make the offer. Having this ready, whether it's a bank statement, a mortgage agreement in principle, or proof of an ongoing sale, gives real strength to your offer. Vendors take you much more seriously when they can see that you're a serious buyer with the means to complete. Once we've agreed on terms, the price, what's included, any conditions, then we formalise everything in writing. Both you and the vendor will then sign a lettre d'intention d'achat or offre d'achat. This document confirms your offer and the vendor's acceptance of it. It's at this point the property comes off the market and is reserved for you. The next stage is signing what's called the Compromis de Vente or CDV. This is your preliminary sales contract and it's legally binding. Before you sign this, the vendor must provide diagnostic reports on the property. The diagnostic reports are comprehensive and give a clear picture of the property's condition. The CDV is usually signed within about 6 weeks of your offer being accepted. You can sign it at the notaire's office, that's the French public official who handles property transactions, or you can sign it electronically from home. If you can't be there in person, you can sign by power of attorney. Here's something really important. As a buyer, you get a 10-day cooling off period after signing the CDV. During this period, you can pull out for any reason, no questions asked, and get your deposit back. The vendor doesn't have this right, only you do. Within 2 weeks of signing the CDV, you'll pay a deposit to the notaire. This is usually 10% of the purchase price, and it's held securely until completion. Now, if you're transferring money from overseas into euros, this is something to think about early in the process. Currency fluctuations can significantly affect how much you actually pay, particularly with a large property purchase. At Beaux Immobilier, we work with excellent currency exchange partners who can help you manage this risk, whether that's through forward contracts to lock in a rate or simply getting you much better exchange rates than your local bank would offer. We recommend you talking to us about this as soon as your offer is accepted, not the week before you need to transfer the funds. While you're waiting for completion, the notaire is busy working behind the scenes. They're doing all the legal checks, checking the owner actually owns the property, making sure there are no planning restrictions, and making sure there are no charges or debts on the property. The notaire handles all of these legal formalities to make sure that everything is in order. In some areas, particularly rural ones, they'll also notify SAFER. That's the French agricultural authority, who have the right to buy the property themselves if they want to. Don't worry, this almost never happens, but it's part of the process. If you're buying with a mortgage, this is when your lender will convert your agreement in principle to a formal offer. They'll need a copy of the signed CDV to do this. Now, let me talk about costs because this surprises some buyers. On top of your purchase price, you'll need to budget for notaire's fees and transfer taxes. A good rule of thumb is to budget around 10% of the purchase price to cover these costs. So if you're buying a property for around €1 million, set aside about $100,000 to cover transfer tax and fees. These aren't negotiable, they're set by French law, and it's always better to budget generously than be caught short at completion. You'll also need to set up house insurance before completion, and we can help you this through our trusted partners. And make sure you've got a French bank account set up for your utility bills. About a week before completion, the notaire will tell you exactly how much to transfer and where to send it. This is the balance of the purchase price, plus the fees and taxes, minus the deposit. Then comes completion day, signing the Acte de Vente. Just before you sign, we'll take you back to the property for a final inspection. We'll check that everything's as it was when you made your offer, take meter readings, make sure that everything that's meant to be included is there and everything that's excluded has been sorted. This final walkthrough is your chance to make sure everything is exactly as agreed. The Acte de Vente is signed at the notaire's office, and once again, you can do this by power of attorney if you can't be there in person. And once it's signed, congratulations! You're the owner! The notaire will give you a certificate that proves ownership while they process the official title deed, which will arrive a few months later. And that's it. The keys are yours, and your French property dream becomes a reality. Before I finish, let me share some key advice from the Beaux Village Prestige team. Things we've learned from guiding hundreds of international buyers through this process. First, get your finances sorted early. Whether you're buying cash or with a mortgage, have your proof of funds ready before you start viewing. It speeds everything up enormously and strengthens your negotiating position. Second, if you're buying from overseas, think about currency exchange as soon as your offer is accepted. Don't leave it until the last minute. Currency movements on €1 million purchase can cost you tens of thousands, or save you thousands if you get it right. We can introduce you to specialists who handle this every day. Third, don't skip the diagnostics. Read them carefully. French diagnostics are comprehensive, but they're not the same as a full structural survey. Fourth, be realistic about timing. 3 to 4 months is average, but complex purchases can take longer. Don't put yourself under pressure by booking renovation contractors before you've completed. Fifth, remember the cooling off period is your safety net. If you have doubts in those 10 days, talk to us. That's what it's there for. And finally, work with people who know what they're doing. The notaire is required by law, but having an experienced team like Beaux Village Prestige who can guide you through the process, translate when needed, coordinate with all parties and handle the complexities makes a huge difference. Yes, there's paperwork, and yes, it might be different to what you're used to, but it's designed to protect both buyers and vendors. If you have questions about buying in France, or you'd like to discuss what Beaux Village Prestige can do to help you find properties across southwest France and Provence, all our contact details are below. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be posting new videos every fortnight, everything from property tours to practical guides like this one. Thank you for watching, and perhaps we'll see you in France soon.